I found out my wife was cheating, not through texts or a private investigator. No, I watched her walk into a hotel with another man, laughing, holding his hand, while I sat across the street with a camera in my pocket and a storm in my chest. What came next wasn't just betrayal, it was manipulation, lies, public humiliation. And then, months later, she tried to run me and my new girlfriend off the road in a jealous rage. This isn't just a story about cheating, it's a story about how far some people will go to cover their lies, and how I took everything from her, without ever raising my voice. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll see what real revenge looks like, the kind that doesn't need fists or fury, just facts and timing. You never think it'll happen to you. We were married for 8 years. No kids, by choice, at first. We wanted to travel, save, build careers, all that. She was ambitious, charming, and, yeah, she could be a little intense, but I liked that about her. She worked in marketing and had this way of lighting up any room. I was a civil engineer, more behind the scenes, introverted, the guy who liked numbers and blueprints more than cocktail chatter. Looking back, there were signs. Subtle ones. The phone always face down. Late work dinners, a sudden new gym membership after 5 years of being indifferent to cardio. And the biggest red flag? Her temper. It went from simmering to boiling fast, especially when I questioned anything. God, why are you so controlling? She'd snap, deflecting even the smallest concern with practiced venom. Thing is, I wasn't controlling. I was attentive. She started lying about small stuff, things that didn't matter, and that's when I got suspicious. Because when someone lies over nothing, it usually means they're hiding something big. I remember the first real gut punch. It came on a Tuesday night. I'd gotten home early and made dinner, one of her favorites. She walked in looking dazed, kind of out of breath. Her lipstick was smudged, and her blouse was buttoned wrong, small details, but they screamed guilt to me. She barely touched her plate. Said she was tired. From what? I asked casually. Back-to-back meetings, she mumbled, not meeting my eyes. I knew it then. I couldn't prove anything yet, but in my bones, I knew. The next few days I played dumb. I listened when she rambled about work. I smiled when she got dressed up for a conference. But I started watching. Not like a jealous fool. Like a man who was done being played. The break came when I checked her location. We share our phone locations, or we did, and it pinged from a hotel downtown. She told me she was having a late dinner with clients near the office. I called her while her dots sat unmoving on the screen. She didn't answer. I waited 5 minutes, then texted her. Everything okay? She replied instantly, just stepped into an Uber. On my way home. She wasn't. She stayed there another hour. That night, when she finally came through the door, makeup washed off and smelling faintly of a man's cologne, not mine, I realized she wasn't just cheating. She was lying without remorse. I couldn't sleep. So I didn't. I started documenting everything. Times, dates, lies, even receipts from the joint account she clearly thought I didn't look at. Turns out, she wasn't that smart. A man named Bryce kept popping up, Uber charges, dinner reservations, even a boutique hotel she charged on our credit card. Bold move. Arrogant move. It all led up to one night. A confrontation that changed everything. It was a Friday. She said she was working late again, but I'd already planned my evening around catching her. You see, there's a particular hotel downtown with valet service and an open lobby, easy to watch from the bar across the street. I sat there nursing one drink, facing the glass, waiting. At 6:58 p.m., she walked in. Not alone. Tall guy. Dark hair. Confident, in that sleazy, try-too-hard way. His hand hovered low on her back. They laughed like old lovers, the kind of laughter you don't fake with coworkers. She leaned into him. Flirtatious. Comfortable. And then, not even 10 steps inside the lobby, they kissed. I didn't feel rage. Not yet. Just cold. Like the blood had left my body and taken every ounce of doubt with it. I took a picture. Then another. Then I left. Quietly. Cleanly. That night, I didn't confront her. I let her come home and lie again. She said she was exhausted. Her eyes even welled up, fake tears, the kind she used to get out of speeding tickets or guilt-free brunches with friends. She curled up beside me in bed, whispered, "I love you," and fell asleep. The next day, I called in sick to work and made copies of everything, the receipts, the phone logs, the texts. She was careless with her iCloud sync. Found a couple of messages that sealed the deal. Bryce, I can't wait till you're free of him. Her, soon. He's clueless. Funny. I wasn't. I printed everything, put it in a folder, and hid it. I wasn't sure when I'd use it, but I knew I would. What pushed me over the edge was what came next. She started getting bolder, inviting Bryce to her gym, same one I'd been going to for years. She didn't even flinch when she saw me there one evening, just waved from the treadmill and kept running. I spotted him too. Didn't say a word. Just watched the way they interacted, their subtle touches, how close they stood. At home, she still played the role, still cooked dinner, still asked about my day. But now I noticed how detached her eyes were, how her hugs had no warmth, how every kiss was a chore. So I stopped touching her. I slept on the far edge of the bed. When she asked why, I just said, work stress. She didn't push. She was already somewhere else in her mind. Then came the email, sent from her work account to her personal one, which she forgot to log out of. I only saw it because I was using our shared iPad to order something online. Her mail pinged. Curiosity? Maybe. Or maybe I already knew I'd find something. Subject, can't wait for our weekend winking face. From Bryce. Got the cabin booked. I told you this would be worth it. After this weekend, I know you'll be mine completely. No more hiding. I didn't confront her right away. I waited. That weekend, she told me she had a women's retreat. I nodded, kissed her forehead, and said, have fun. I knew the cabin. I found the address. I even called the front desk and pretended to be Bryce's assistant confirming a reservation. They gave me the room number. I drove there, parked far enough away not to be seen, waited until the lights dimmed. Then I knocked on the door. She opened it in lingerie, not even subtle. Her face collapsed when she saw me. Brian. I raised my phone, hit play. The photos, the texts, the emails, all of it, cycling through a screen she couldn't deny. You really thought I wouldn't find out? I said. Bryce appeared shirtless behind her, suddenly less smug. Hey, man, this isn't what it looks like. I laughed. It never is. I left. Drove home in silence. No music. No thoughts. Just numb. She came home the next day, begging, crying. Said it was a mistake. Said he meant nothing. She lied again. I listened, nodded, and then handed her the divorce papers. You made your choice, I told her. Now live with it. But that wasn't the end. Not by a long shot. You think the worst part is the moment you find out. That scene in the hotel room, her barely dressed, the other guy standing there like he was caught shoplifting in a convenience store. But no, the worst part comes after. When you realize how long they've been lying. How many people knew. How much of your life was a carefully staged illusion. I served her the divorce papers on a Sunday. She was in the kitchen pretending to make breakfast, like toast and eggs would erase the fact she'd just spent the weekend wrapped around another man. She looked up and gave me that soft, innocent smile I used to fall for. I set the manila envelope down on the counter between us. What's this? She asked, picking it up, her hand trembling just slightly. Reality, I said. Your name's on the front. She opened it. Her face dropped. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback ready. No lies. No spin. Just silence. For a second, I almost pitied her. Almost. Then she tried the tears. Brian, wait, please. We can talk about this. I made a mistake. I was confused. You've been so distant lately. No, I cut her off. Don't you dare try to spin this around on me. She stepped forward, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. You cheated. You lied. You planned weekends with another man while sleeping in my bed. There's no confusion there. Bryce doesn't mean anything, she stammered. It was a fling. Just a stupid. I laughed bitterly. You don't plan flings. You don't book cabins for flings. You don't giggle on the treadmill with flings while your husband's 10 feet away pretending not to see. Then she snapped. The performance stopped cold. Her voice went sharp, venomous. Fine. You want the truth? Maybe I needed something real. Something passionate. You think working overtime and forgetting our anniversary makes you husband of the year? You were boring, Brian. Predictable. Dead inside. That's when it hit me, she wasn't sorry. Not for what she'd done. Only that she got caught. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw anything. I just looked at her and said, then I hope you find someone as exciting as you deserve. Someone who lies, cheats, and destroys everything they touch. Because that's what you are now. I moved out that night. Rented a short-term place downtown. Clean, cold, and empty. Like me. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of paperwork, lawyers, and awkward conversations. Her friends started texting me, some shocked, others smug. One even said, honestly, she always talked about you like a burden. Sorry, dude. Some friends. The final hearing was quick. She didn't fight it much. Probably wanted to cut ties before more came to light. In the end, I gave her the house. Let her keep the car. I didn't want any of it. I just wanted to be done. A few weeks later, I heard through a mutual friend that Bryce ghosted her. Took a job out of state and blocked her number. No goodbye. No closure. Poetic justice, I guess. But the story wasn't over yet. Because 6 months later, I met someone new. And that's when the real insanity started, when my ex-wife tried to run over me and my new girlfriend in a jealous rage. Yeah, it gets crazier. After the divorce was finalized, I thought things would quiet down. I thought wrong. The weeks that followed were strange. Empty, mostly. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment above a coffee shop. Slept on a mattress on the floor for the first month. No TV. No curtains. Just silence and the occasional hum of the espresso machine downstairs at 5 a.m. People don't talk about this part enough, the aftermath. Everyone focuses on the drama of the betrayal, the big confrontation. But there's this weird limbo that comes after. A sense that you've died in some small way, and now you're watching your own life from a distance. The house was hers. The friends split down the middle. Half of them vanished. The other half texted awkward condolences and invitations I had no interest in accepting. I didn't date. Hell, I barely spoke to anyone outside of work. I threw myself into my job, 12-hour days, back-to-back contracts. Anything to avoid thinking. And yet, the quiet hours crept in. Around midnight, mostly. That's when the memories returned. Her laugh in the kitchen. Movie nights. The plans we made. Names for kids we never had. Places we said we'd visit. That future? Gone. Stolen, really. And I hated how part of me still missed her. Not the real her, the version I thought I knew. The one that never existed. It took a while, but the fog lifted. Slowly. I started reading again. Running. Joined a gym, not to stalk anyone this time. Just to sweat the bitterness out of my bones. Then came Hannah. Met her in the most boring, unromantic way possible. An Excel workshop. She was sharp, sarcastic, with this dry wit that felt like a life preserver thrown into cold water. We talked for a while after the session. She teased me about my notes. I had color-coded tabs, and I told her she looked like the kind of person who judged people for liking pineapple on pizza. She said, I do. I asked her out the next day. We took it slow. Coffee dates, walks in the park, long conversations about everything and nothing. She didn't pry about my past. I didn't offer much. Not at first. But she had this way of being present, fully there, no pretense. That alone was addictive. We were 3 months in before I told her the full story. The cheating, the hotel confrontation, the lies. She didn't flinch. Just sat there quietly and said, sounds like she was scared of you figuring out your own worth. That hit me harder than I expected. Being with Hannah didn't feel like revenge. It felt like peace. Like waking up from a long, twisted nightmare and realizing you'd been holding your breath the whole time. We were walking out of a little Italian place one night when the madness returned, in the form of my ex-wife behind the wheel of a speeding white SUV. I heard it before I saw it, the screech of tires. The headlights cut through the dark, brighter than they should have been, and aimed straight at us. We were halfway across the street. Hannah froze. I yanked her back onto the curb just as the car swerved and missed us by maybe a foot. It jumped the curb, smashed into a newspaper stand, and kept going. I knew that car. It was hers. Hannah was shaking. I pulled her behind me, still stunned. The SUV peeled off into the night. She tried to kill us. When someone tries to kill you, you'd think it would feel dramatic. Screaming. Sirens. Chaos. But when your ex-wife tries to run you and your new girlfriend off the street, it feels surreal. We stood there in silence for a full 30 seconds after her SUV disappeared into the dark, taillights flickering like the last gasp of some dying animal. Hannah's hand was still in mine, trembling. My own pulse hadn't settled either, but my mind was already calculating distance, speed, intent. This wasn't a near miss. This was deliberate. I know that car, I muttered. It's hers. It's Emily. Hannah looked at me, wide-eyed. Your ex-wife just tried to hit us? Yeah, I said flatly. And she didn't miss by much. We called the cops. I gave the plate number, described the vehicle, filed the report. The officer's tone changed when I mentioned the prior divorce, the cheating, the fact that I suspected she'd been drinking too. He said they'd check surveillance footage, patrol the area. But I knew the drill unless she came back, hands still on the wheel, slurring confessions, nothing would happen right away. Hannah stayed the night. She didn't want to go home. Neither did I. We didn't sleep. We sat on the couch, the air heavy with things we hadn't said. You think she really meant to hit us? Hannah finally whispered. I paused. I think. In her mind, she thought she'd scare us. But yeah, she wanted to hurt us. At least me. I wasn't new to her instability. Toward the end, Emily had started unraveling. When Bryce ghosted her, surprise, she spiraled. Started messaging me late at night. Random things. Memories. Do you remember our trip to the lake? I miss the way you used to hold me. Do you think I'm a bad person? I never responded. She started showing up at my gym. Once, she left a necklace I'd bought her in my mailbox with a note that said, I hope you're happy. Nothing else. That was 3 months before this incident. Now she'd escalated. I met with the detective a few days later. He confirmed they'd found street cam footage, blurry but usable, showing her SUV swerving onto the curb. A report was filed. A restraining order was drafted. Still, there was a catch. Because no one was injured, it would take time for charges to stick, and a judge had to approve everything. Classic red tape. Meanwhile, Emily went quiet again. No messages. No sightings. Nothing. Which, honestly, was worse. The silence felt like pressure building behind a dam. And then came the final snap. It was a Tuesday evening. I got home late from work and found my apartment door slightly ajar. No signs of forced entry. Nothing taken. Just open. And sitting on my kitchen table? A framed photo of Emily and me from 3 years back. The glass cracked. A single red lipstick kiss pressed to her side of the frame. That was it. I drove straight to the station and filed for an emergency restraining order. They expedited it. Apparently the break-in was enough to tip the scales. Within the week, she was served. The fallout? Swift. She was arrested the following weekend after she showed up at my building, screaming outside the intercom. The cops came. She resisted. Charged with trespassing, violating a restraining order, and reckless endangerment from the hit-and-run. Her lawyer tried to spin it, emotional distress, fragile mental health, but the evidence was too much. She pled out. Got probation. Mandatory psychiatric treatment. Community service. And she had to stay 500 feet away from me and Hannah. I haven't seen her since. I hear she moved back in with her sister. Lost her job. Last I heard, she was trying to rebuild. Part of me feels sorry for her. The other part? Feels nothing. Because I finally understood something. You can't save someone who's hellbent on self-destruction. What matters is saving yourself. People love a clean ending. Some kind of poetic closure. A moral wrapped in a bow. But real life doesn't do that. Real life leaves scars. Loose ends. Questions without answers. It's been a year since Emily tried to run us down. A year since she shattered the last illusion of who she was, or who I wanted her to be. I haven't seen her since the court hearing. No texts. No calls. Nothing. Just silence. And that's been a gift. In the months that followed, Hannah and I grew stronger. Not because we were trying to prove anything, just because we were honest. No games. No secrets. She knew the darkest corners of my story and chose to stay anyway. We moved in together 6 months ago. Bought a fixer-upper out on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, just ours. I built her a bookshelf by hand. She planted lavender in the garden. We make French press coffee every Sunday morning and argue about whether dogs or cats are better. She wins. We adopted a mutt named Oliver who sleeps at our feet. Sometimes, when I'm driving home, I'll catch a flicker of memory, a moment from the old life, and it hits me like a wave. The weight of everything that happened. The betrayal. The rage. The night I sat in a motel parking lot with divorce papers in one hand and a bottle in the other, wondering how the hell it all fell apart. But I never stay in that place for long. Because I survived it. That's what I want anyone reading this to know. You can survive this. You can watch someone you loved lie to your face and still get up in the morning. You can lose everything you thought was real and still build something better from the ashes. You can let go of the anger, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. There was a time I thought I'd never trust again. Never love again. Hell, I thought I'd never laugh again without bitterness in my chest. And now? I laugh every day. Sometimes it still surprises me. So here's what I'll leave you with, advice, if you want to call it that. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Document everything. It's not paranoid, it's smart. Don't beg to be chosen. If someone betrays you, walk. Surround yourself with people who don't flinch when you tell the truth. Don't let their chaos become your identity. You are more than what they did to you. And lastly, healing isn't linear. It's messy. Some days you'll feel okay. Others you'll want to punch a wall. But if you keep walking, eventually, the weight gets lighter. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll laugh at something stupid, and it won't be laced with pain. It'll just be joy. And that's when you'll know you made it.